let's talk about a line of reference called the breastbone, belly button, pubic bone line. As you might suspect, this is a line that physically exists on the not just the outside of our sense of self from the breastbone, belly button, pubic bone, but it is also a line that exists internally. So behind your skin, behind your layers of fat, no matter how large you might be in the abdomen, this line physically exists. And the purpose of this line is twofold. From a functional standpoint, this is where our abdominal muscles will come in and anchor to in the front. For us, we're going to take advantage of that breastbone, belly button, pubic bone line, because what that line does also is it helps to change that important pelvic orientation. It helps to facilitate that neutral space that each of us are seeking for ourselves in relationship to our life and how we have moved and all of our experiences. And the reason being that we want that possibility of coming more and more into a neutral or level alignment of the pelvis from just a resting state is that it influences how the socket will move over the ball. How the socket moves over the ball. And so when we come to stand on one leg, that is what is happening as we begin to take a step and allow the socket to move on the ball. So when we speak of the breastbone, belly button, pubic bone line, I want you to begin to find it on yourself first. And so you're going to put one hand into just the end of the breastbone. And I want you to start to stroke down until you come into that area where you feel your belly button. And then continuing downward until you find the top of the pubic bone. Try it again, stroking again into the breastbone, passing down toward and over the belly button, through the belly button, below the belly button, into that lower abdomen, and into the top of the pubic bone. Now, some of us have a little roll of fat right here. We can just tuck right under the fat and get to that pubic bone. Or we might have to lift the roll up to get to that. And then we can reverse it. We can come up from the pubic bone up toward the belly button and heading up until we get to the end of the breastbone. And we start again. We're using our hands to map out what seems to be an invisible line, but it is a real line that exists for the purpose of allowing our oblique muscles, our abdominal muscles, to attach to this line. Let your hands rest. Now I want to give you another image. So we have the belly button on the outside, and this stick is representative of the line that exists that we think is on the outside of us, but it's really interior. All right. So behind the belly button, I want you to imagine that you could find access to this place behind your belly button, behind the pubic bone. And I want you to think of withdrawing, not the front of the belly button, but somewhere behind it. Begin to withdraw the interior belly button towards the back wall of your abdomen. That's it. You'll start to feel the belly button being pulled in and toward the back wall. Now, some of you might have in your mind that you're pulling the belly button and landing here on the vertebra. And it's not really as accurate. You don't need to really even go that deep, because we're really trying to influence the abdominal muscles that are attaching to this line. So there is like a wall back here, and this wall is where your large intestine hangs from. It's where all of these small intestine, they hang from. But in front of that is this interior portion of the belly button, so that when you access in your imagination this drawing in of that interior belly button towards that back wall, you begin to get a little more activation in your lower abdomen, and you might even start to feel the pubic bone start to raise up or change its orientation. Or for some of you, as you make this motion, you'll start to feel the rocking chair movement of the pelvis. Or even for some of you, you might start to get a sense that something is happening with the vertebra, and that there is just a skosh or a little less of an incurve in your low back. And so what you're doing is that you're retracting that interior belly button, holding it for, maybe a count of 1, 2, 3, and then slowly letting the belly button return to where it started. And then retracting the interior belly button again to your capacity. You can play around with the depth of that line moving into and behind, lifting the pubic bone, maybe even lifting some of the fat rolls, and then slowly letting it return. Pausing for a moment. Sometimes when we begin to activate muscle contraction, or we begin to use a line or change the image of a line that is stationary to moving, we have a tendency to kind of clinch off or hold our breath. Natural, normal. So let's see if we can use the breath as an assist that allows this interior belly button to even travel at a easier rate of coming in to the back wall. So allow yourself to take an inhale. Doesn't have to be big. And on the exhale, interior belly button, retracting, pulling in. And of course, you can maintain the contraction, and it's time to take another breath in. So take an inhale in without losing the interior belly button, retract it. And then on this next exhale, retract a little more. Retract that interior line moving toward the back wall, just a little more, a little more, a little more. Hold that. Take a breath in. You won't be able to get a round, full belly. I'm not concerned about a round, full belly. I'm concerned about, can you start to activate the muscles that control this line? Good. And I'm talking and I'm holding the line. And now I'm going to release the line by, from the inside out, letting my interior belly button expand forward. Good. So that's what the BB, breastbone, BB, belly button, PB, pubic bone, that's what those initials mean when we talk about that line. Now, in our class particularly, we're going to use this interior line and we're going to explore its relationship of the interior line to the other line of reference that we learned, which was called the vertical power line of the heel. And so when we go to stand on one leg and advance the other, as in walking, we are literally moving the line of the breastbone, belly button, pubic bone line to stack up and over the inside ankle bone or that vertical power line of the heel. Now, when you see my hands move, that line is moving separately from this spinal model. But you know that these are connected. And so it is the whole torso and the pubic bone that glide together as a team to stack over. It is not like the line is separate and it can move back and forth like this. Because it's connected to the torso, it is the assistant that allows the center of mass to move to one side, that allows the pelvis to stack. We take the breastbone with the pubic bone and make that stack. So once again, breastbone, belly button, pubic bone line. The big take home here is that even though that is a vertical line and you can map it out on your outside, the line really exists underneath the fat, underneath the belly button, the skin, going through the skin, and the next layer behind that, that interior belly button. That's where the true line actually is anatomically situated. And that's the line that we're moving back, not this external one. But we use the touch and our fingers and mapping it out as a kinesthetic reference, but we also can start to use our imagination and our sensing mind as though that we are pulling something into the back wall for the purpose of changing the pelvis, changing orientation, improving neutral, improving socket mechanics over ball.